So, Pride Month is officially over. However, comma, it doesn't mean you should stop taking pride in all that you do.
Do that again. I'm going to try something.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go boom like that. And then I'm going to do that.
No. So say it.
No.
Oh, okay.
Will Disney sue us for that?
For what?
I don't know, but I'm just
The
putting this on
background.
I'm putting this on my
I don't know
Be
what's
Real.
up with your background, but you have Disney and National Geographic and something else that keeps swapping behind you.
Oh, all the things that they own.
Yes.
All of the
Yeah.
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can't record that.
All
right. Say the thing.
So, oh.
So you remember what you said?
Yeah.
No, not that thing. Say the thing so we can get started.
Oh. This is ILNL.
Thank you. Welcome to ILNL. People acting stupid. Okay, so just to get this out the way, my cousin Aleda in Minnesota put me up to this Be Real thing. I'm not Scroll. I'm just saying.
Wait, what?
So he's on a social media platform called Be Real,
Okay.
where he has to do like a selfie or something of what he's doing every hour or so.
No, whenever it says it's time for you to be real, and you gotta be real.
And you know how he feels about social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to that response, I said, he's not Tim. He's a Scroll.
So
He has yet to disprove it.
So don't you think this is kind of going the direction of the social scoring or something like that?
The what?
So pretty much like what they do in Asia as far as like how you interact with the world or social media or whatever, it can very Black Mirror. You can increase.
Oh, the thing where they have it's this camera that shows a score, recognizes your face and shows a score or something above your head.
Uh-huh. But I heard like we're on the way to it.
I wouldn't doubt it.
maybe. Who knows? But sometimes you do certain things for certain people because you care. The more you know. All right.
I forgot Be Real existed until you brought it up for real.
Well, her babies use it, so there you go. All right, shall we get started?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Talking about that's not a good segue.
Nope,
That
no, it's
doesn't
not.
work. All
No,
right.
it's not.
Mm.
So we're talking about video games and stuff today.
All
You
right.
see, I said stuff.
And stuff. There you go.
I'm growing as a person.
So the FTC won't let Microsoft be.
Real.
Good job.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, if you've been hiding under a rock, hopefully you have left the rock because it's now a new month. And what's been happening above the rock is that Microsoft was taken to task by the FTC for what, you may ask? Because they just want to do a little business. That's it. That's all it is. They're just trying to save a company from ruin. You know, they're not doing anything scrupulous. Or are they? And that's the question for this episode of ILNL. What's the deal with this Microsoft?
Does he
deal?
sound very jokerish to you, or is it just me?
Actually, it feels like he's asking to just. It's so inappropriate. I can't say it.
Good.
Wait, aren't we demonetized and we can say pretty much whatever we want now?
Well, no, we're still on the platform.
I was about to say because just the
1%.
you'll get it.
Okay.
Not 1%. One. We'll talk later.
Okay, great, because I'm totally lost.
Mm,
All right, so
tiptoe. Yeah.
yeah, all right. So as it stands right now, Microsoft has presented its case to the FTC. FTC has presented its case to Microsoft. It's now in the hands of the judges to decide if the acquisition that Microsoft is trying to do should still go through. And if not, the reasons as to why they should not be able to purchase Activision Blizzard. So, opening it up before we start diving into some of the things that's been publicized on the interwebs about this whole thing. Starting with you. So, you have some thoughts on the whole thing of what Microsoft's position is and how that's affecting the game industry. Just go ahead, throw it out.
I just say let them buy it. What's really the point? What is it really? It makes it seem like, if anybody, Sony has their finger on a pulse and is using everything they can to stop this merger because they're afraid of losing intellectual properties, or I'm sorry, exclusive properties. That's what it sounds like. It I think they're seeing a future that Starfield has hit them hard, and they're trying not to create a habit from it. If that makes sense.
It does. I would throw at that. There's always been exclusives in console, not so much in PC.
Right.
Like there's some titles that are PC titles, but they're not deemed as being exclusive because anyone with a PC can get a PC title. But in the console world, having an exclusive title means that you might end up selling a system because that title is exclusively on your system. And that's how the whole thing of consoles kind of, became a thing. Like you didn't see Mario on Sega systems,
Facts.
and you didn't see Sonic on Nintendo
Super
systems.
Nintendo, right.
So the whole thing was, were you a Nintendo fanboy or were you a Sega fanboy? And that helped to innovate on games.
But the thing is, like now, now you do see Mario on the Nintendo Switch, right?
Well, there's no more Sega consoles.
Well, right, yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, like, look how much happiness and joy it brings, those who might have played it on the Sega Genesis once upon a time, right? But also, it brings about the ease of crossplay, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I want to play this title on, this console, well, if I want to play somebody else that has that console, and I'm on this console, like now it's easy for crossplay. To me, it would be very interesting because Sony has nothing to stand on as far as being upset about, having exclusive games. Like no one has access to Spider-Man yet. Well, PC does technically, and
You're talking about the Marvel Spider-Man.
the Marvel Spider.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Is he? It's like there's the Marvel Spider-Man, and then there's the Sony Spider-Man. Because the first one,
No, Marvel Spider-Man is Sony exclusive titles.
right? Well, put it like this:
Yeah.
I can't play Spider-Man on my Nintendo Switch.
Right.
So, yeah.
The whole thing of this particular deal really boils down to any of the Activision games that was multi-platform. So we're talking about Call of Duty?
And I think that's their biggest fear.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole thing of Call of Duty is it's one of the big yearly money making titles, no matter what system you're on. and there's a hardcore community of PlayStation players that would miss out if that game were to
They say
become
80
exclusive.
percent of PlayStation players, like go hard players, have a PlayStation for Call of Duty.
And so I can understand their fear, but Microsoft has already said they're not trying to make titles exclusive when they're already multi-platform. But again, if you want to ensure that someone's not going to block you later on for said Call of Duty title, then of course you're going to pitch a fit.
Because the question is, would they actually, with them having the ability to do so, are they actually going to do it?
Right.
I mean, that could be part of the contract, I guess. But the question is, would they really agree to that?
So
I don't see why they wouldn't.
it wouldn't really benefit them to have it exclusive because you sell more copies if it's
Right.
multi-platform.
Facts.
So I don't think it's a problem for Microsoft to do it either.
Plus, it's the two major things that Call of Duty is played on is either a PlayStation or a PC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So on this particular article with Polygon, they propose a couple of possibilities of if one side won over the other. And right now, the big thing of let's go to it real quick. Here we go. What if the judges rule for Microsoft? Pretty much that means that the deal goes through. That means that however $68 billion for the purchase of Activision Blizzard, they now will then control not just Activision, not just Blizzard or Activision Blizzard. It would be all the properties that Activision Blizzard purchased, including the mobile stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This also opens up the door for Microsoft to buy into the mobile spaces because they were looking to buy Zynga.
Yes.
And they're also looking to buy Sega because they want to get all of the tech and stuff that Sega has done over the years, which also includes mobile. So this is kind of a big deal if Microsoft were to get Activision Blizzard.
Didn't know
So
Sega
wait.
was for sale
They just want to buy them.
because I honestly thought
Feels
Nintendo had
warped.
taken all of that.
No. Sega is still Sega. And they still own all their rights and IPs and all of that. They're just not in the hardware game. So they can put their character on anything and they can have anybody develop their characters and so on and so forth. But just think, if Microsoft bought Sega, now they get all of the years of all the stuff that Sega, all the things that Sega has licensed out to other people, like Nintendo, becomes their properties now, so then they make money off of that. Like, that's a big deal. Just as big as purchasing one of the biggest publishers with some of the biggest IPs in Call of Duty and whatever the other one is. I can't think of the other big one that they have. Let's see, World of Warcraft and Overwatch.
Sheesh.
So that's what we're looking at for that. And if we were to go on the opposite side of the fence, then we're talking about Microsoft not only losing the rights and ability to purchase, but they also got to pay a penalty.
Why?
Because in the whole thing of the deal, the whole thing of the deal is you buy our company. And if you don't buy our company, then you owe us X amount of dollars for not putting the contract through. So the penalty
But if
the penalty is $3 billion.
But if the contract is blocked by the FTC, so you're going to penalize me because the FTC decided to come in and put a stop to
Right. I could see if you just
That's
up and
so-
reneged.
Right.
That I get, but you're being blocked.
I
That's so
don't.
trash.
I
That doesn't even sound like it's legal.
no. It's the whole thing of abandoning the deal. Apparently,
How are you to abandon the deal if you're not the one that's blocking it?
right. That's the whole thing that makes it really weird, because
Mm,
it seems as though you as Microsoft have to say, I'm not doing this deal. But I mean, who am I to say anything? I've never done a $68 billion deal. I don't know the small fine print particulars of acquiring a multi-million billion
Right.
dollar
Clearly,
company.
I need to figure out how to put this on my resume for they decide that I get laid off or something. Okay, but yeah, you kind of owe me $100,000 then.
So that's what it's looking like right now. And pretty much, if it comes down to the FTC dropping the hammer,
mhm.
um, that's probably what we're looking at as far as the consequences.
Hmm.
So, what are you guys feeling on that?
It's jacked up. It's really jacked up.
Elaborate.
You know, just having to still have to come out of pocket for something that you're no longer allowed to do.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, this is weird. Like I said, I like now that you kind of went deep into the rabbit hole as far as how this deal will affect things. I guess that's what the FTC is looking at. Like how deep can this go? But I mean, at the end of the day, like I still think it could still benefit. Uh, but Activision.
How so?
I mean, you have more of a powerhouse behind you now.
Oh, you mean if they were to acquire?
If Microsoft acquired
Yeah,
Activision,
that's the whole thing of them doing is to try to save Activision Blizzard.
yeah,
So here's
Because didn't they have a bunch of allegations at one point?
I mean, they're in a ton of turmoil. Started from the CEO,
Yeah.
helping to foster a culture that was pretty negative.
in the workplace.
Yes.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah. And part of that was affecting a lot of the games that was affecting the industry, because
Nobody
there's
really
certain
wanted to work
games.
there.
Well, not that. It's more so there's certain games that move the needle in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Call of Duty moves the needle in the industry.
Facts.
World of Warcraft, definitely Overwatch, because I mean they built a whole league around Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't put out whatever game or patches or whatever for that particular game, that then impacts everyone under you,
Mm-hmm.
because then they don't have like the strength or confidence to buy into something else.
Yeah. And trust and believe, everybody talks. So I mean, you probably be surprised how many people, and they're not necessarily giving away company secrets or anything, but like if you have a toxic work environment, like they're gonna find a way to have conversations.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that it just is like me working for the school system, right?
Mm-hmm.
I work at one school, that other, and somebody's working at another school. Granted, we're not in the same school, but we have conversations.
Yep.
So we talk because we're in the same industry. And a lot of times we go through some of the things. And if I find out, like, oh, at this place, we get, Taco Tuesdays or ice cream on Fridays. And, it sounds small, but, certain things can make a difference.
Yep.
But yet this person is, they're being micromanaged and this and the third. They're going to leave that place and come to where the fun is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because just based off of, my short term, my short time at wholesale and talking to people or whatever, things can be smooth sailing or things can be very toxic.
Right.
So, yeah.
And in thinking about some of the things that's up for stake with this whole deal. Like I alluded to before, Microsoft is trying to expand its mobile reach because that's one of the things that it's definitely not strong in, which opens them up to a lot of the Asian market, which is another spot where they're really struggling because even with the Microsoft Xbox console
Of
line,
course, they're going to struggle in Asia. And I mean, that's where Sony and Nintendo live. So,
Mm-hmm.
like they've tried to have publishers make games that really speak to the Asian culture. A lot of the JRPGs and things like that. Like if you go and you buy a Zynga, or you end up, Sega Sammy or Square Enix as part of your troop of companies, you now are in the Asian market. So you don't have to try to convince someone to buy an Xbox
You're already
because now
there.
you got the developers.
Yep.
Like a big thing right now. Let's see, many games under consideration. So we already talked about that, and we already know about the weak hardware sales. This is another big part too, and that's dealing with Sony. Sony's really, really, really trying to, stick it to Microsoft right now because they're trying to stake the claim that this deal could hurt them in ways that are unforeseen, including the whole thing of console exclusivity. But let's talk about that. With Sony, who's one of the leaders in gaming, making a splash by screwing over Nintendo when Nintendo came to them to partner and make what is now known as the Sony PlayStation. They're now the ones calling foul, talking about this deal is going to hurt them. It's kind of weird to see the change when they have a dedicated fan base, loyal fan base. They have one of the hottest systems selling with the PlayStation 5.
Their fan base is so loyal. They've started petitions to have Starfield removed. Well, not necessarily removed, but they want it put on PlayStation.
Like Sony is, in all intents and purposes, one of the most ruthless companies from some of the deals that they put together, including the stuff that they did with Marvel, locking up Spider-Man and all of the Spider-Man universe stuff. I don't think Sony can hurt. This won't hurt Sony.
You have no feelings.
So I'm confused. I'm confused how this could even possibly hurt them because they're just so big.
Scared. They're probably scared that Microsoft is taking something out of their playbook. And the thing is, it's one of those things. Like if I know that I'm ruthless and I'm out here doing stuff that'll block other people and this, that, and the third, or that that can hurt other people's pockets, and somebody makes a move, you may not know. They might, of course, like you said, unforeseeable. Like you don't even really know how this can. Now you're being paranoid because look what you've done in the past.
And the thing that comes up a lot in this conversation is the whole thing of exclusivity, which we alluded to before. So, let's see. So now this brings up the whole thing of, will Microsoft go the route of any if they end up getting Division? Because, like we talked about before, it's not in their benefit to do anything exclusive. You put a game out on everything, it can be out on everything.
I don't see them making the currents exclusive. A brand new game, possibly, but the things that everyone's worried about, I don't see them turning games that are already out there into exclusives.
In bringing up Starfield, that's a Bethesda property.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even an Activision Blizzard property.
And they claim that the whole reason they bought Bethesda was so that Sony wouldn't get Starfield.
Let's say that was true.
Like, you based it off of one game.
Let's say that was true. Starfield is a single player role playing game.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to like a Mass Effect or anything else like that. And for one, it needs a very, very powerful system to run it, which we all know spec wise, the PlayStation 5 is not as powerful as the Xbox Series X.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of it is just the type of game it is. Like, Sony has a certain type of brand for what they release. Like, there's a reason that Spider-Man is on Sony systems. That type of storytelling is something that Sony has built as part of their brand.
Yeah.
Like,
Horizon, God of War.
yeah. So Starfield really doesn't fit. It feels more PC, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I agree with them on if that's one of the games that they're worried about. I don't agree that that's a game that should even be a concern. Yes, it is a big title, but Redfall was a big title and that was a bust.
I was really looking forward to getting that game. I'm still considering getting the game just because I wonder if it's on sale on Steam.
That's the vampire one, right?
It's the vampire one, but I don't think it is a PC game. I think that is console only. I think.
No,
Take a look.
I was waiting for it.
Blasphemy.
So, moving down the lines on talking about exclusivity. Um,
Oh, that's why I didn't buy it.
because
She's 70.
oh well, there you have it.
Yeesh. Still?
Mm.
Yep, newer titles. So Microsoft would like to, if this is accurate, get rid of exclusives.
Oh.
I think we're at the point right now where it doesn't matter for us to have exclusives anymore. Because of crossplay, like something that you mentioned, Chris. And so, what are y'all thoughts? Is Microsoft, going the right way of saying, let's just go ahead and let's nix exclusivity on consoles?
Yeah. Like there's more than enough money to be made out here. And the thing is, like you said, it doesn't people are happy that they get to play with their friends. They don't have to buy, because they emulators are a thing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, it's at the point now. Oh, I can't get it unless I get your system. Okay, cool, bet. I'll just get it emulated something else, and I'll still get to play it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think with people that block crossover games or that are opposed to crossover games, it's selfish. It's a selfish move on the company that owns the console. So, and people are going to, I don't know. It's like, to me, I think people will see that and do what they need to do to get over on it. But then again, the PlayStation 5 came out in the middle of the pandemic, so and they knew people would still buy it, and people are still buying it.
Yep.
And to me, like, that was kind of like a red flag for me. I was like, dang, dog, like, it's a whole pandemic out here. Now, granted, I understand you've been working on this for years. We were talking about the PlayStation 5 for years prior to it coming out. But like, bruh, like, people are literally trying to get, the basic of things and they can't because they don't have the money. But this, once again, It comes back to a lot of times. It comes back to the have and have-nots. So
I have not.
listen, I was just like somebody still like some of my kids were still like, "Are you going to get the PlayStation 5?" I will not. Not like I don't see it in my. I don't see it no time soon because I have so much, and then on top of that, like I think the fact that I'm 41 and have like 3 jobs versus 20, in my 20s and my even in my early 30s and having one job and not having so much going on in life, that makes a difference. So I mean, those who can go ahead, but I'm good at my PlayStation 4.
Here's my thoughts on getting rid of exclusives. It depends. Like, there's certain things that just feel right on certain things. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, like it's hard to imagine Halo on a Sony system, even though they got Destiny.
Mario
It's
on
not
the
the same.
Xbox.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
would I like to
Because
see?
it's because a lot of times it's the nostalgia, it's the controllers, and it's what we're used to, et cetera, et cetera. But like, I mean, I got used to playing Sonic on my Switch. I got used to playing what is it? I mean, insert whatever game on the emulated system that I utilize for educational purposes only. So yeah,
Like, I'm. It's hard to imagine playing Nintendo style games, family style games, and stuff like that on a Xbox system or a Sony system. Um, would I like for that to be the case where you can? I would love it. Like some of the kiddie titles or family titles that end up being on these bigger systems don't feel as kiddie as a Nintendo game. Like Nintendo knows how to
yeah,
make
but
kiddie fun.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I get once
And
again. I
without the
think
exclusive, what makes you get the system?
Then it comes down to the system.
and yeah, and some people literally will get a system for a game.
Yeah, I mean, people buy PlayStation for God of War because
They
until they
did.
put it on PC, that's the only place you're gonna get it.
Like I realized this was years ago how I ended up having a 360, what a PS2, and I forget which. I think it was the GameCube. I realized why I had all three, and it was for one game that was on each system.
Soul Calibur
Yes,
for the exclusive
Mm.
characters.
because
But
each
we
system had a special character that wasn't on the other one, and
that's
they were
so
all Star Wars.
trash.
But it was great. In
Oh,
marketing sense, it was great.
Yeah,
oh my god, that is so trash.
Like you had Darth Vader on PlayStation. I think Yoda was on
GameCube, right?
GameCube. I don't. No, it wasn't even a Star Wars character. It was,
Wasn't Link? Wasn't it Link?
yeah, that's what I was
And then
saying. The
Spawn is
Star
on
Wars
Xbox,
characters were on PlayStation. Link was on
the Nintendo.
Nintendo, and Spawn was on Xbox.
I
Yeah,
kind of remember.
And that was one of the moments where you can't pass up not playing all of these characters on this particular game. So,
True.
hmm
but no one has done that since.
yeah. There's no profit in them doing that now. They can just go ahead and do DLC for
Yeah.
certain things. But that leads us to the last part of this whole thing, which actually sparked the whole thing, and that is the possibility of Phil Spencer saying that Microsoft bought Bethesda to prevent Starfield from being on PlayStation. Um, I would need to read into this article, but I don't feel that's the case. Like, I don't know Phil Spencer.
Yeah.
I just put that out there.
Sorry to this man. I wouldn't know him if I was walking through the street.
Right.
But I have a sense from the way that he took over Microsoft and he presents Xbox, or took over Xbox and presents Xbox, that he really cares about the game industry. And he is, it's not one of those, I'm a fan because we're a part of it, and everyone should like each other and kumbaya, hold hands. No, I really believe that he feels that it is an all for one for all place in gaming, and he's trying to cultivate that as the culture. But Sony, being the company that it has been, doesn't seem to want to shake hands or hold hands or even be in the same room in that conversation. Nintendo, which was one of the big aces back in the day, was like, yeah, let's shake hands, let's work together. And that partnership has been excellent. Like a lot of the rare games that Microsoft ended up getting that were Nintendo games, like Nintendo 64 games, like Banjo Kazooie and stuff like that. Microsoft's like, yeah, we'll publish those games back on your systems. I mean, they were Nintendo games. That's a bold move. They could have easily said, we own Rare, you don't get nothing back.
Because the thing is like it sounds funny, but it's like the joy of giving. Like I love the fact, like my nephew, granted, like he's beating the first Spider-Man. He's in the process of beating that. Well, actually, no, he's in the process of beating the first game because there was two DLCs or whatever. So he's in the process of doing that.
So the main game,
right? But I'm trying, trying to get him into like retro gaming and this and the third, and that's definitely going to be the move. Once I start my new school, come Monday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But that's gonna be the move. You know what I'm saying? Like to once again try to get I did get games. Like remember I used to send videos and post videos on Instagram about these kids that were playing Super Mario. And it's something about those retro games. It's different than the current games.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think it really does tap into something. It affects the way we think. I really do feel that because like I'm talking about these are kids that's killing it in Super Smash Bros. But yet, when it comes to Super Mario,
they can't get past.
It is a struggle to get past World 1. Like you got maybe to World 1-4, and you're struggling. And I'm sitting here like, bro, you stay talking about your levels on Call of Duty and Destiny and this and that, but yet this is Super Mario Brothers. But I understand. Eventually, I did understand. Like it's so you think differently, and like it's almost like when I got it in my hand, I had to go back and think differently.
Yeah, the muscle memory and all
muscle
that.
memory. Like you had to go back to like, oh my god, like I had to go back to when I was like 10 or 7, and yeah.
So, being that this is the talk of the town, we'll end it off with you, Chico. Do you feel that the head of the Xbox division for Microsoft would, I'm not going to use the word petty, would purposefully purchase Bethesda just to prevent Sony from having the rights and abilities to have Starfield?
That's a heck of a gamble. So I would say no. I mean, had it been like we're getting to see what it's going to do, what it's capable of beforehand, then maybe. But without really knowing what you're buying, yeah, no. I figured they bought Bethesda because the particular games Bethesda makes are often played on Xbox. if not PC. So, I mean, it just made sense.
Some of the things that they've said in the past has led me to believe they wanted to give more resources to a game company that really produces big games. And why not do that if they are ones that, help to sell your system?
Right.
So, all right, cool. All right, so
I think all in all, Sony's just really, really afraid of karma coming back on them. That's all it really is.
And I think that's where we'll end it. So, with that, thank you for watching and listening. If you're on the UBTubies, make sure you subscribe, hit the alert button, all the things, so that way when a new episode goes up, you'll get notified about it. You can catch us also on the podcast directories, anywhere you listen to podcasts. And of course, on all the socials, I Love Nerd Life is the social for all of our handles that we have. Make sure to follow us on there, especially Instagram, because that's where Chico does a lot of work. So IG, let's blow IG up, get that to grow a little bit. So, in reverse order, for Chris,
Peace.
for Chico,
Nano.
for Kristen and Sneeja, I'm Tim. Thank you for watching and listening as always. And as we say here at home,
Pume, everybody gonna die.
hey,
This is ILNL.
this violence.
What you just said about IG?
Did I say something bad?
To blow it up?
Yeah. You did say that.
Grow it. Jeez. All right. Don't blow up Instagram. Grow Instagram. Grow the account at Instagram. Did that clarify it?
Grow. Oh, I'm sorry. Here we grow. That was the thing at your old school.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Oh, you hear that?
Nah.
Here we grow. Yeah, that was.
Nah.
Shout outs to my kitties.
We was too ghetto for that.
Bro.
Oh, goodbye.
Bing, 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 boom, 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 bing, 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 boom, 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 boom.